Terry, this is the Nautilus Multi Exercise machine. You can perform over 20 different exercises on this piece of equipment. Let me begin by showing you how to do two types of chin-ups. First one is done with an underhand grip, and you want to keep your hands about shoulder width apart. First hang, and slowly pull yourself until your chin's over the bar. Pause, and lower to the stretch position. Up, pause, lower. Up, and lower. Now the chin-up works the latissimus dorsi muscle, the bicep muscles, and the gripping muscles. Now you can move this bar out of the way, and you can perform a second type of chinning movement. We call it behind the neck chins. With a parallel grip, once again you hang, pull up and down. Now you're working the same muscles in this exercise, just a little different involvement. Now the chin-up is a good exercise for females, but most of them have difficulty in doing the pulling part of the exercise. Now with the multi-exercise machine, you can solve this problem. You simply use the steps to do the pulling part of the exercise. You climb up the steps, get your chin over the bar, and slowly lower yourself. Now let's try that. I think you can do it. Climb the steps. Now you want to get your thumbs around. Hold the bar like you're gripping a tennis racket. That's it. I'll give you a better grip. Now let me help you get your chin over the bar. Bend your legs. Now slowly lower yourself. That's it, but I think you can do it a little bit slower, Terry.
Okay.
Let's try a couple of more. Now hold yourself up there. Slowly. Now stretch at the bottom. Good one. Try one more. All the way up. Slow. All right. Now let's work the muscles on the other side of the arm. The triceps, and also the deltoids and the pectoralis major muscles of the chest. We do what's called a parallel dip. Now in order to do a parallel dip, you start from a stretch position, double your legs up, you slowly push up. Lock the arm, and then you lower yourself. Up, lower.
Now, a lot of women are afraid of developing too many muscles and looking like a man. Is that?
Well, Terry, that's an old wives' tale.
Yes.
In order to develop large muscles, you have to have the genetic potential. Most women don't have the genetic potential to build large muscles. It takes an above average amount of the male hormone testosterone in the system. And women just don't have it. So it's an impossibility. Why don't you try the parallel dip in a negative only fashion? Climb up, lock your arms, and very slowly lower yourself. Take it slow. Good. Now keep your elbows high and stretch a little more in the bottom position. Slow. That's it. All right, one more. Now you ought to feel this in the back of the arms. This will firm that tricep area. A lot of women have problems storing fat on the back of their arms.
Right.
Very slowly. Now slow. That's it. Good. Now let's talk about exercises you can do for the lower body on the multi-exercise machine. You can do a calf raise and a deep knee bend, but you need a waist belt in order to use it. Hook the waist belt onto the movement arm. You want to step into it, bend the knees, move the belt around the hips and the waist area in a comfortable position. Now in order to perform the calf raise, which works the gastrocsoleus group, you want to put the balls of your feet on the first step. Keep the knees locked, put the hands here. Very slowly lower your heels, stretch, and stand on your tiptoes. Now this is working the calf muscles.
This will also be good for a calf injury, right?
Well, if you have a calf injury, yes, it would strengthen the Achilles tendon, which a lot of runners have that problem with the strain to the Achilles tendon. Or if you have a sprained ankle, then working the muscles that surround the ankle joint is about the only way that you can effectively strengthen the ligaments and the tendons that give the ankle stability. Put your both feet there. Keep your knees locked and put your hands here, Terry.
Oh.
That's it. Now you want to bend over slightly and keep your back flat. Now let your heels lower. Try to touch the floor. You want to stretch in that bottom position. Now keep your knee locked. All the way up. Pause. That's it. Now go down a little bit slower. We found that the negative part of each exercise, Terry, is more important than the positive part. So if you're a female, you want to especially accentuate the lowering portion of every Nautilus exercise. Now while you're in that position, why don't you step up on the second step and let's show them how to do a deep knee bend. Now in order to do this, Terry, you want to bend the knees. Keep your hands where they are and your head up. All right,
Now why is this a good exercise for women?
Well, it works the large muscles of the butt, quadricep, and the hamstring. See, a lot of women store fat in these areas. And as they age, they have a tendency to lose strength. So as a result, they get flabby hips and flabby thighs. And by strengthening the underlying muscles, this will keep that area smooth and in good tone.
Do you have any exercise for posture?
Posture is a very important aspect that most women have problems with. Now, if we take this belt off and put the small handle on, I can show you how to perform a shoulder shrug. Now, we make a shoulder shrug machine, which is much better than the shoulder shrug done on this exercise, on this machine. But a lot of people don't have access to the shoulder shrug machine. Now, by holding the bar and keeping the arm straight, you can work the trapezius muscles of the upper and middle back. You very simply shrug the shoulders. Try to touch your shoulders to your ears. See, this works the back muscles, which keep the shoulders square rather than rounded. It's a good exercise for posture, also a good exercise for women involved in any type of racket sport.
Right.
Give it a try. Now, get your feet all the way under the first step. That'll give you a little bit better stability. All right, now flatten the back. Now shoulders all the way up and touch the ears. That's it. Now, don't bend your wrist. Do one more repetition. So this works the trapezius muscles, but you are limited by the strength of the hands. Which brings us up to another good exercise which works the hands and the forearms. It's called a wrist curl. Let me show you how to do that right quick. In order to perform the wrist curl, you want to get your feet under the first step. Pick up the movement arm and then bend over. Now your elbows want to be slightly higher than your hands. You don't want to move your forearms. You only want to move your hands. So you do a wrist curl. This works the forearm flexor muscles. Now if you reverse the grip, put your hands with the palms down, you can work the forearm extensor muscles. It's done in the same fashion. Now most people are very weak in the forearm extensors, so you have to use a very light weight. Why don't you try it? And I'll take some of the resistance off. Now, bend down. When you pick it up, you want to move your elbows back a little bit. All right, that's it. Now don't move your forearms, just let your hands move. All right, so you're working the forearm flexors. Now try it with a reverse grip, palms down. Now you work the forearm extenders. I'll probably have to help you a little bit here because most people are very weak. It's a good exercise if you suffer from tennis elbow. Try one more. That's good.
Do you have any exercise for the midsection? The stomach muscles?
There is an excellent exercise that you can do on this machine. It's called a hanging leg raise. In order to do it, you want to use a parallel grip. The object is, in a hanging position, to bring the knees up and touch the chest. Pause and lower yourself. Up, pause, down. And in this position, you want to tilt the buttocks back. It brings in the abdominal muscles as well as the hip flexors. And you want to keep your arms straight as you hang. All right, now very slowly, up. Now hold that position. I'll give you a little help right in the contracted position. Up. You feel that working the midsection?
Sure can.
One more. All right. Well, Terry, there are over 20 different exercises that you can perform on this machine. Now, we've covered the basic ones. Why don't we step over here and I'll show you one of the other machines right quick.